literally forced myself to keep walking down toward Mrs. Kennedy and walked past her and pushed the door open and walked into trauma room 1 and was horrified. What I saw there immediately was President Kennedy lying on his back, face up, his bloody head, and a light shining down on him. Well, I walked on into the trauma room and walked by the gurney on the left side where the president was lying, and Dr. Perry leaned over and handed me an Army-Navy retractor. And he said, "Bob, would you go stand at the head of the gurney and lean over?" And we were about to make an exploratory wound into the president's neck. Said Malcolm told me they had already begun that. And he said, "We saw a little hole here, what appeared to be a bullet hole. It involved his trachea, but it didn't go right through it. It was just next to it.
Okay.
And the bullet hole was right where I'm pointing. And he said, "We're going to explore this because we're worried about the carotid." Some people have said, well, they were just doing a tracheotomy. Well, Dr. Carrico had already placed an endotracheal tube in him as soon as he came in the emergency room. I said, intubated his trachea immediately, and they attached him to an artificial respiration machine and brought him on into trauma room 1. So the main reason that incision was being made was not to place the tracheostomy, although a tracheostomy was placed and the endotracheal tube was removed, but primarily to look at the carotid and the major vessels in that side. So that's what they were doing, and I went to the head of the gurney and leaned over to put that retractor in the upper edge of that incision they were making. And when I got there, I said, "My God," I said, "have you seen the back of his head?" And they said, "No, we just walked in here before you did, and we haven't seen anything but this hole in his neck." And I said, "Well, there's a wound in the back of his head here on the right side that's at least 5 inches in diameter, a circular wound far in the back of his head."
Okay.
And I could actually look down within the skull cavity and see that the whole right back half of the right cerebral hemisphere was gone. In fact, Mrs. Kennedy, Dr. Jenkins told me, the anesthesiologist, had come in carrying a portion of brain in her hand and handed it to Dr. Jenkins when she came in. Has a right to know whatever I happen to be able to tell them, because this isn't something personal, it's information that belongs to the entire country.
Well, I think the issue was, in retrospect, was if Oswald was in the 6th floor depository, how could he have been shot from the front then? And so was there more than one assailant? We, I think, all thought that that was an entrance wound.
When I saw those pictures, I was very upset that the autopsy report and the pictures of the president did not accurately reflect what had transpired and what I had seen myself in trauma room 1. Will people feel that they have a better understanding of what actually happened? Absolutely, yes. And that's why I'm so pleased to be a part of this documentary.
I am told there are records that have not been released that will be released somewhere in the next 15 years, and whether there's more evidence there, I don't know. There could be additional findings, and I don't know the answer to that.